Howdy.
Well, hello.
Welcome back to the Unruly Duo. I'm Brandi.
I'm Jenn.
This is episode 5.
5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Jenn came to me yesterday and she's like, the last week's was kind of heavy, and I was kind of thinking maybe we should do something lighter. And I was like, I don't know that I don't know that any of us
I
can
mean,
think of anything lighter.
I couldn't. I was really trying to think of something. I'm like, what topic could we talk about that was, you know, a little bit more lighthearted?
Right. And so we are in the same place as a lot of you guys. Is the news is incredibly distressing. The state of the world is incredibly distressing. There's a lot of grief and a lot of heartbreak and a lot of stress. And unfortunately, Jenn has some applicable real world experience.
As of recent.
As a recent real world experience. And so we figured, we're all thinking about kind of the state of the world. We're all really scared for our neighbors. I think a lot of us are really scared for our neighbors. And so yeah, we're going to keep talking about this because that's what's on our minds. We know it's what's on you guys' mind.
Yeah. And it needs to be, I mean, we need to be talking about it. Because I think a lot of this stuff continues to get swept under the rug, and when things go unregulated and we ignore problems for too long,
Yeah.
well, we end up
Yes, we end up with people getting shot in the street.
Right.
In broad daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought we could kind of start with, I think we can kind of start with what you were saying about, when you were kind of in the thick of the worst of the gang stalking, and we can kind of go from there on like how we see that being really relevant to like what's going on in the world and kind of expand on that. And we also want to touch on how her experience is relevant to like social media, which is a dumpster fire on its best day. But when there's strife, real world strife in the world, it tends to get worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so when I was in the thick of it,
Actually, can we back up?
Yeah.
So let's again, I think if you follow Jenn or myself for a while, you know what's going on. But in that we're getting some new followers and stuff, in case you've missed it. A few months ago, about 6 months ago, Jenn was the victim of gang stalking, cyber stalking, and harassment. She is what is now, there's an official term for it, which is awful that there's enough people that there's now an official term.
And support
groups. She was a targeted individual. They hacked into all her social media accounts, cut her out of them, like locked her out of them so she couldn't communicate, drained her bank account, hacked her Wi-Fi,
emails, everything.
Yeah. She wasn't able to get calls out at one point, right?
No,
Or
calls,
text or
texts.
anything like that.
No, they took all the names out of my phone, like, so I didn't know like who was who.
Right. Like who knows?
Like they're all, I mean, the little tiny attacks is what I like to call it, were,
Yes, a whole bunch of individual little attacks, right? Like it was like cut this off and then cut this off and then cut this off. And
right. I get back in, and then I cut this off, and it was like back and forth for months. And,
so when you were in the thick of that.
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, the pop-ups. They could just pop, like.
Can you kind of explain that further, what you mean by that, and why that was such a frustration and a hindrance to you? So like, okay, you get on your phone, you want to text me.
Right. So, I'll go back to one night where I was, in my apartment, the one that I fled. And, cause at one point I was going to the library, right? I was there for, from as soon as I could get there until they kicked me out at night for over a month. And, trying to get in and out of my accounts. And I posted this online to where it shows I was logged in and out of my emails over 100 times.
Right.
That was
so like you try to get in, right? Like reset the password.
Yep.
And then you get kicked out and you see an email that you didn't do of somebody resetting the password.
Correct.
And then you have to reset it.
Yes.
And then something else would reset it. And
Yes.
then, yes. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Over 100 times. and it was a
Yep.
security alert, your
Yep.
password has been changed.
Yep.
And it took me forever to figure out how they did this, and they did it because they were able to create a pass key to every account that I owned. I didn't even know what a pass key was. But basically, if you have a pass key to someone's device, then you can get into every account that they own, and you have total control over it. So it automatically puts the password into, your Gmail,
Yep.
your bank
Yep.
account or whatever. Um, and so they just kept changing and changing. I had, in the beginning, I didn't know how, but also I have posted proof of a pass key being created on my computer when I was out of town in the mountains, no
Right.
service,
Not with
no
not with
computer.
with not your computer. You were not in possession of your
Correct,
computer.
correct. And it happened on June 5th. June 4th, I was on a plane. June 5th, I was in the mountains. And so with that night when I was in my apartment, it was because I'm like, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to just change everything or get just, fix something. I'm collecting evidence. I'm taking screenshots. I'm, trying to contact people. I'm trying to reach out for help. I'm locked out of everything. But it was like every time I would try to get into something, or if I would get close to getting into something, or close to achieving something, it would be like pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up. And they can do it whenever they want it. How they do that, I have no idea. But
So if you're trying to hit the icon of something, you've got all these pop-ups on the screen, you end up hitting the pop-up.
correct. And a lot of the pop-ups, they look real. Like they can look like regular pop-ups. And
Right.
that's how a lot of people get their phones hacked, is because it could be as simple as clicking on a link in your email, or on your, like somebody sends you a link through text, you click on it, and they can oh, what's it called? They basically, you click on that link.
Hit like malware, right? Or something?
Yeah,
Downloads
it
malware.
downloads codes and malware onto your phone.
Mm.
And there's a lot of ways that people can hack in, take control of your phone. It's not it's not a difficult thing to do. Um,
Unfortunately.
yeah. And so, that night specifically, it got so overwhelming. I was like, I had to turn it off. I'm like, I'm just gonna go outside and sit down. And while I was outside, I had I have an airport. It's called airport. It's a utility you can download to your phone, and it scans like Wi-Fi basically. And so I've been searching for, because I'm like, they have to have some kind of, like, what they call like a raspberry or a stingray or a pineapple or something to hack into my Wi-Fi. So I would look on it all the time. And so I'm outside, I pull this thing up, and it's just like pop up, pop up, pop up. And it just got so overwhelming that I tried to call you actually, but I couldn't get through. And then or I think I might have called and you were in bed, I think, the first time. And then after that, I'm trying to text and I can't text anyone because the pop-ups just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. I eventually ended up calling 911 that night. They didn't care. I had an encounter with one of the gang stalkers, which we can save that for another day. And what was your question? I'm gonna do that a lot. If Mac is watching me, she interviews me. She's interviewed me a lot, and I always do this. It usually takes about 2 minutes for me to talk, and then I will ask because I will forget.
So we were talking about, you had started to go into when you were in kind of the worst of this,
Yes.
and how that is relevant
Oh yeah.
when you were reacting. I mean, obviously reacting with good reason because you're being stalked and
Yeah,
terrified,
it's
but
terrified.
kind of the worst of this, and unfortunately how we're seeing parallels to what's kind of happening in the world today.
Right. Well, right now, like, there's so much uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know if they're going to knock at our door, right? And if they do, how are we going to react? What
How are they going to
How are
react?
they going to react?
What kind of weapons are they going to have?
Correct. Are we going to get attacked, right? And there are people that are being I mean, in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's a constant whirlwind of not knowing when you're going to be attacked.
People who right now are hyper vigilant, watching their back, Okay,
Correct.
so you're seeing a lot of parallels when you are hyper vigilant,
Yep.
watching your back. You don't know what's going on. You don't know when it's going to end. You don't know how to fix it.
Right.
There's so much out of your control. Your
It's
life is,
chaotic.
yes, your life is being kind of taken out of your hands in
Yeah.
some way, in a
It's
lot of ways.
people are finding it hard to work. They're finding it hard to sleep, right? They're finding it hard to just do everyday normal things.
There's certain targeted communities who are choosing not to go into work, which means they're losing pay
Correct.
because they don't want to be apprehended.
Right. They don't want to go to a detention center, right? And so for me, when I was being gang stopped and I started when I realized that they were breaking into my home, that's when I realized that these people are trying to murder me, right? Why else would they be doing this to me? And so at that point, and so the same thing goes for these people that are terrified of going to these detention centers, like, they could die there, or just be tortured, right? And so I'm living my every day. I didn't wanna leave my home. When I found out that they were breaking into my home, I caught them 3 times out of 4 days, and, I after I found out, I didn't leave my home for 2 days. 2 days. I was like, "I'm just not gonna leave, leave," 'cause I'm like, "Why are they coming in here? Are they putting in cameras? Are they poisoning my food? Like, why are they coming? Are they putting listening devices? Like, what are they doing?" Um, because they weren't taking anything that I know of. Um, and so then I start getting threatening phone calls, right? And that's when I decided that I'm going to flee my home, but to be under a constant threat of not knowing, you know, that or knowing that at any moment, someone could off you, right? It's a terrifying feeling, and it's no way to live. And I feel like everything that we're witnessing online right now and on our TVs is just kind of an amplification
Yeah.
of
It's a bigger scale. It's
co-
it's the same thing. It's just a bigger
yeah,
scale.
it's coordinated harassment,
Yep.
right? It's cyber stalking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're messing with people's Wi-Fis, they're
Yep.
turning off their cameras, right? Um, they're destroying people's cameras, and they're spying on people,
Yeah.
right? They're going and they're basically stalking people
Yes. Yes.
before they
Yes.
try to detain them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also, this is a point that I think is, um, I feel like has not been said. I had um, conversation with somebody about, about the situation that she was in. And, you know, it's probably, what I was told is it's probably nothing. Like, it'll probably be fine. And my response then is, okay, let's just say that you have had a complete break and you have made this all up and you are completely fine.
Like a psychosis break or something? Like it
If
wasn't.
right.
Yeah.
So if I'm wrong though, if I say you're probably gonna be fine. They haven't attacked you.
They didn't harm you.
right. They didn't harm you. They entered when you weren't there. They're not gonna enter when you're in the house. Like,
They didn't kill you.
you're probably gonna be fine. Here's the thing that haunts me is statistically for women, if I'm wrong on that, statistically she is likely to be killed
Mhm.
or severely harmed in some way.
Yeah.
And if you love someone, at least if I love and care for someone, I adore Jen. She is my best friend. I'm not willing to be wrong there. I would rather have helped you get out of there and bring you here and to find out it was all in your head than to assume that you were probably just okay and you're probably just making up and you're probably going to be fine and have been wrong.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I could not have lived. And because I know this was one person who said it to me, I also know based on what Jen has told me on some of the feedback that she has gotten and some of the feedback that I've also seen in comments that was also something said to her. And maybe you're fine with the assumption that she was probably fine and she's probably overreacting,
Or it was just a mental breakdown.
or it was just a mental break, or she's just thinking of, like, she's she's just overreacting, or it's not really what it was, or whatever. And maybe you're fine. You would be fine if you were wrong about that and she actually was right and something bad did happen to her. I am not, though. I was not willing to take that risk with your life and safety. And I just want to make that, because just in case there are certain people listening who said to me,
They're listening.
she's just making this up.
Yeah, this isn't real.
This isn't real. She's probably fine. I personally am not willing to take that chance.
Right.
I was not then. I am not now. I will never be.
Yeah. And I honestly, like, I just can't tell you how much that has helped me. I mean, you know how much that has helped me.
Of course.
And I think that just goes for any survivor to have someone just believe you. I mean, it it's very, 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 very rare that women make up
Yes.
these kinds of
Yes.
stories.
Yes.
It's very rare.
Yes.
Does it happen? Yes.
It is much more likely that they will be quiet about it, that they will be
Correct.
silent, than they will to make up something.
Yes, that's why I never said anything about anything at all for years. For, let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, and to your point, it's like that was one thing I could not understand was, okay, you think I'm in psychosis, you think I'm having a mental health crisis.
Why
Why are you
is it
being cruel to me?
right?
Why isn't nobody helping me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So to me, even again, even if Jen was had a complete break from reality and was making up everything, my instinct is, okay, let's get her somewhere safe where she can be stable and we can start dismantling this and get mental health. I like,
Or
it
yeah,
didn't matter to me if I was completely, if it just, I'm flabbergasted by the response. Even to your point, even if you were in complete psychosis, why would cruelty and isolation and dismissal be the response? Why would it be? Why would not, like, okay, something's wrong. Let's get you to a safe place where we can start to, like, help you figure things out and heal.
right. Yeah, because I had 911 called on me. I had the fire department. People were having wellness checks done on me. The fire department called me. I was somebody called 911 when I was at the library. I'm at the library on the computer by myself, focused on getting in and out of my accounts, and I have to sit and talk to 911 on the phone and let them know who our president is, where I'm at, what the zip code is, like, to let them know, like, I am based, like,
In
I am
reality,
very
yes.
much in,
You know what's going on.
I know what's going on. Um, and, even though I was in a hypervigilant state, I was still very grounded. I was still very centered. I sadly have been trained for this, you know? And so was I was never out of touch with reality, and I went through, I think it was 5 mental health checks by professional people, right? It's their job to do mental health checks on you. 5, and I passed them all. And even then, no one, they the same people just did not believe me. I had somebody the other day, because I'd said, all this was happening to me, and people kept saying I had a mental illness, which I don't. And they said, well, are you mentally unstable? Like, well, I said, well, it depends on who you ask. But according to professionals, no, I'm not.
I think a really good point to clear up is, because there was plenty of videos of you that you posted online, of you in extreme distress, of you talking about these things that to somebody not living it probably seem outlandish, or like,
Yeah, it was insane.
I And so, okay, somebody could point to those and goes, like, you're obviously very distressed right now, or you don't sound like you're talking very calmly, or you don't sound like you're talking about very, um, there's like cyber stalking and gang stalking. What is that now? Obviously, we unfortunately know more, but I would say that I just want to make it really clear is the event started and it was such a distressing, stressful, terrifying event that you became destabilized.
Correct.
You did not become destabilized and make up the event. The event started first. She and I had a completely normal conversation, several normal conversations. She had been living her life, doing her thing. All of a sudden this happens. God bless her. The fact that you held on as long as you did by yourself is a freaking, they should give you a medal for that.
That's the thing. And people will never understand or realize what I had to endure and what I had to actually do in order to survive all of this. Like, they will just never know.
We can cut part out. What's up?
Steak and mashed potatoes.
Sure. Mashed potatoes sound great.
Yeah. I'll leave here in just a few minutes.
So I might leave that. And so getting back to, okay, why are we talking about this? One of the things that Jenn, when we were talking about subjects to bring up, we were trying to find something lighthearted and we couldn't come up with anything because just all in a pretty crummy place right now. One of the things that I thought was a really interesting topic is you were talking about when you were in the midst of it and the most reacted to it. And certainly the reactions were justified, right? You're trying to get your life back. You're being terrorized and stalked and afraid and all this, but sort of what you're seeing in that period of time.
Yeah.
When you're most reactive and how you're seeing things now, sort of like in the online world.
Right. Because like what a lot of people didn't get to see is that slow progression, right? Which is also what we've been seeing with current events. Is it didn't start out just people being shot in the streets.
Yes.
It has escalated to that point. And so, I kicked my roommate out at the end of June, right? I had to shut my business down in July 31st, right? I was teaching class. I had to move in July and close my business down in July. And then August 2nd is when this all started to escalate.
Yep.
And so, and then I had no communication to the outside world for like almost 2 weeks.
Yes.
And I was completely alone in it.
Yes.
And so, of course, that's going to escalate my
heart's when I think about this.
I know it makes me kind of shake a little bit when I think about it.
Yeah.
So, it was an escalation, and it came to a boiling point, and I wasn't being protected. I was being dismissed. Nobody was believing me. People were calling me crazy, and it was just this like onslaught of, the world just collapsing down on me.
Yeah.
Right. Which everybody is looking around like, is this the end of the world?
Right.
Like, are we all gonna die?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so, but it was then when it clicked. Like my training kicked in, my research, everything, it started to all make sense. And I'm like, okay, first of all, if there's a group of people that are coming against me, they're breaking in my home, they don't want me to see them. They're not actually making any kind of like real physical contact. They're more afraid of me than I should be of them, right? In terms of
at least direct like physical contact.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, do these people want to harm me? Yes, but they don't want to get caught, and that's why they did it in such a covert way. And so I knew that they weren't going to just overtly come out and harm me. Right? Because they don't want to get caught.
Sure.
And, and that's what we're seeing also. The freezing rain. I just
you gotta doesn't
ice agents, right?
No, stick to freezing rain. I'm totally thinking that word.
So, and that's what you're seeing now. That's why they're turning people's Wi-Fi's off. That's why they're taking their cameras. They don't want to get caught. They're afraid to get caught. And so I'm like, they're afraid of getting caught. I mean, they weren't, because they really thought in their mind they'd never get caught, because that's what these are predators. That's what these types of predators, this is how they think. They do these things because in their mind, they're never going to be held accountable. But they're also not going to do it in plain sight.
Right.
And now right now, everybody has phones. So it's almost impossible for them to have the kind of self-control
Right. Yep.
to not do it, without it being caught on camera. So once I started to realize, like, okay, they're not going to do anything to me just like out in the open
Right.
to
Yep.
where they can get caught.
Yep.
And so then I'm also like, okay, these are predators, narcissists, whatever you want to call them. They are feeding off of my reaction. They are doing this to make me look like I'm mentally unstable, that I'm crazy, because if something did happen to me, if they were poisoning me and something happened to me, then it would easily be written off as I took my own life. Or they were destabilizing me to a point to where I would take my own life.
Right. Whichever worked, right?
Right.
Like, either way, it's a win for them.
Either way, win-win, right? And so when I came to this realization, because like I said, in the beginning, I was so bombarded. Like I'm like, what is going on? Like, nobody's helping me. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, dude, all this, I can't sleep. Like, it was just like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And so once I started to stabilize and, become more like centered and grounded in my body, then I started roasting them. Right. I put on a banana filter on line, because they're watching my screen. They're mirroring my screen. So, which means they have a phone, and whatever I'm looking at on my phone, they can see. And I still have tape on my camera, so they can't watch me. But they can see everything on my phone. So if I'm recording something, they can see it. Right. So I put on a banana filter when I'm talking to people online about it. And at that point, it became a joke, because I'm like, these people this is pathetic. First of all, that a group of people are trying to destroy my life. Like, we won't even go down that road. But, then it became a comedy act to me, which also distracted me, gave me something to do. But it because people didn't know what was going on, right? They were like, oh, she's really lost her mind. Like, she's like acting as a banana, blah, blah, blah. They even held that against me in court. And
Jenn has to say in a court of law if there's an official record of somebody asking her, did you dress as a banana?
Yeah, it says
and
here.
Jenn had to say, I did do some skits on Instagram with a banana filter. That had to be said in court.
Yeah. No, it was yeah, well, you made these banana files and said that she's like fighting off predators and she won and all this stuff and made like this whole like skit. And the judge is like, did you do that? I was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, sounds like a mental illness. Like, cool. Anyways, I thought it was hilarious, and so did a lot of other people. But if you don't have any context, then yeah, it probably did look like I was like in psychosis. But when I started to do that, right, when I started to react in a way that, one, they didn't plan for, two, they weren't expecting, and three,
it's a Pablo.
It's the ladies man. It's the ladies man. And three, that took their power away, because I was able to take their power away by not reacting, because you can't be manipulated. You can't be controlled. Okay. Hi. If you're
Sorry.
not in a reactive state. No, you're
Sorry,
good. I'm trying. I'm trying.
You're talking about a serious
I'm
thing.
trying to stay focused. Yeah.
So let's reiterate that
Okay.
point, because the dogs distracted us.
Yeah.
So yeah, talking about reactivity and power and taking your power back and how you did that.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of bring that home.
Yeah. So when I started, with the banana files, and I started basically making fun of them, because they were watching everything that I did. Um, and then it got to a point to where they became predictable because I stopped reacting. Now I can see their patterns. But when I'm reacting, it's all chaos. Like I can't see
That
anything.
makes sense.
But once I took a step back, I'm like, now they're just predictable. Right. And I started to figure out every little tactic that they were using against me. And, once you kind of like call it out, you don't react to it, you make fun of them for it, you roast them for it. It's like, it's no fun for them. So the more and more that I did that, um, the more and more they backed off, right? And so they started to back off because at that point, they if I stabilize and I become centered, then people are going to see that, oh wait, she's not actually crazy. Then what? Right? Then what? Then what are you going to blame all this on? And so once that started to happen, the attacks slowed down. They never went away. But they every once in a while will pop in to try to just see, they want to see that, maybe there's a little bit of hope that they can just like knock me off balance. But it's because I stopped reacting that I was able to take my power back and gain control of the situation.
And do you think there's anything sort of in sort of real world in-person situations where people could kind of use that same tactic of not reacting?
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. I think that it should be a practice because obviously we're human. We have emotions. We're going to react to things, especially if we're caught off guard by something.
Sure.
Right? We're going to react. Or if we have a trigger or we have a trauma background, there are things in our environment that can trigger you know even physical sensations. And I think naturally there's a lot of things that will get a reaction out of us. But if we do end up reacting, you know, we could still bring it back, right? We can still pull it back a little bit. But I think one of the biggest or yeah, probably the most beneficial place to do that would probably be the internet. I mean,
So talk more about that because you kind of gave an example that I thought was really really healthy. We all know comment sections are garbage, right?
yeah. Yeah. Like, you got two sides usually, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, two opposing sides. Yeah. And so this one's like, no, it's this way. No, it's this way. You're an idiot. No, you're an idiot. No, you are. No, you are. It's like it gets nothing gets done. And but it's just this person reacts, and it's just reactions going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And they tend to get more heated, right? Like
Right,
the more you get, because then your emotions are up because
Yeah.
it's just kind of the natural or human nature. Now your emotions are up. Now it's not just somebody saying you're an idiot, you're an idiot. It's like it's escalating to like, sometimes threats and violence or just really, really awful things said. Can you give the example that you were talking about in your own comment section where somebody, you kind of touched on it a second ago, where somebody said, well, are you mentally?
Oh yeah. Well, there's actually been a couple of times that I've been able to kind of shut down this side, and it was by not reacting. It wasn't by not responding, it was just by not reacting. But when you respond to someone who's trying to get a reaction out of you in a certain way, it diffuses the situation. And so um yeah, it was just an old video. Somebody at first they said, well, are you mentally unstable? And I think that was, I said, According to professionals, no, I'm not. But like right before I even was able to finish that sentence, they posted again. Oh, are you deleting comments because it doesn't go with your narrative? And I'm like, hold on a second. I haven't deleted anything. So I don't know if maybe they refreshed it and they didn't see their comment or something. I don't know, but I didn't delete anything. And so I'm like, no, not according to professionals. No, I'm not. I didn't delete anything. Are you okay? And so, a lot of time went by, right? So they didn't react like right away. And so a little bit like hours went by and, they said, well, I think the question is, are you? Right. And I already answered the question. Right. And that's when I was like, it depends on who you ask. But like I said, according to professionals, no, I am not. Are you? Right? I didn't say, like, I didn't try to, like, you know, prove them wrong or anything like that. It's just like, it really depends on who you ask. Are you? And they never responded back after that, And so instead of me just being like, you know, um, I don't know, what would be a reaction to that? Like, are you mentally unstable?
How dare you?
Yeah, what are you?
Have you not been paying
uneducated?
attention? Right. Have you not been paying attention? I had to go through all this, and like, how could you say that?
Right.
You're. Blah, blah.
You need to educate yourself.
Yes, of course. The whole you need to educate yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, a couple weeks ago, I don't want to say what post it is because I just don't want to get into that. But I had posted something under like a different reel or something, and it was a little controversial. It wasn't like bad or anything, but it was controversial to a certain group of people. And so
I'm trying to think about it. You can tell me later, but I'm like,
well,
no.
Yeah, well, maybe we can talk about it next week.
Yeah,
because it's pretty deep. I literally only said one word. It wasn't even a sentence or anything. I literally just put one word underneath this reel. And that started a very great conversation. And there was a lot of people that agreed with me. But what happened was this went on for probably 3 days. People just going back and forth. I mean, some of the people were the things that they were saying to each other were awful. Like just like the most awful thing. And they would come to me and they would say, some of them were, you need to go back into the kitchen and make a sandwich, blah, 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 blah. Like that's
so
I'm like,
boring.
so what I said, so I said, oh, okay. Would you like white bread and or wheat bread? Mustard or mayo? What would you like? You know what I mean? Like they're like, you're wrong, you're this. I'm like, okay, maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong. Right. And so what I noticed, and then I said, I'm kind of experimenting a little bit here because I've never really done this before. But the people that the women that were agreeing with what I had posted, of course, they're very reactive, right? And they're writing paragraphs and paragraphs. So these paragraphs and these guys are just like, go make us a sandwich, blah blah blah. Go back to the kitchen where you belong, da 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 da. And so, what happened was they'd come in, they'd react to me first, right? Because I was the first comment. Then I would diffuse it, and then they would go and attack the other girl, and the girl would attack back and back and back up. But they ended up leaving me alone. Like they couldn't argue
because they couldn't. They wanted a right. What they wanted was a
reaction.
They wanted a reaction. Regardless of what maybe an ultimate end game was with your cyber stalkers, ultimately what they really seemed to thrive on was a reaction.
Correct.
They wanted an extreme reaction. People in comments want an extreme reaction. And when you step back, and don't give them that it at least helps you gain some ground so where you can have some clarity to kind of figure out, do you want to address something in the comments calmly? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe it's not worth your time. Maybe you want to make a joke, whatever. Do you want, in a cyber stalking situation, what maybe is your next step? Right. Because you can now think clearly, or at least more clearly, because you're not just constantly in this reacting. They did this, so you do this, so you do this, so you do this, and like what, and like
Right.
nothing gets solved. It's just a react.
And then what's going on around you? Because you're so focused on this, and that's what's happening with the news right now and in
Right.
politics. It's like all this is happening. Well, what's happening around us? Like, how are we moving forward if we're so focused and reacting to each other? Like, we're not going to get anywhere, and we have to figure out, like, where do we want to put our energy? Because let's say I stayed all day and I stated just simple, calm facts to these people on the other side. I'm not going to change their mind.
Right.
So I might as well take my power back, right? Because what you're doing when you react to people like that, right? If you're a woman and a man tells you, go back to the kitchen where you belong.
Fuck you! You can't tell me I'm liberated.
Right.
And that's all. I'm not discounting the sentiment behind that. I also feel like fuck you. Go make your own
Absolutely.
sandwich. I'm liberated. I don't need a man to tell me what to do.
Right.
But they're hoping for the heat and emotion and anger, and for you to feel bad, maybe feel like upset by them telling you to go back to the kitchen. And if you just go, you want mustard or mayo on that?
Right. Either way, because they know what they're doing because they do it all the time.
Yeah.
They know that they're going to get a reaction out of you. And so when we don't give them what they want, because when we give them what they want, when we give them a reaction, what we're doing is we're giving our power away. Right. And they love it. They feed off of it. They do it all the time. And it's, uh, there's a lot of that goes into that, like why people do that. But a lot of it also has to do with the simple fact that they're focused a lot of on external things because they cannot go inward, right? There's no self-reflection there. But yeah, so when I started to, you know, become more grounded and not focus on like every little thing and have to, attend to every little thing and react to every little thing, it was like that was me taking my power back. And when I started to do that, like I said, that's how I got it to, I don't want to say stop, because they could start doing that again anytime they want, because law enforcement has done nothing in that sense to make sure that those cords are cut.
Yeah.
So
I think it behooves us, because somebody listening to this might go, okay, great. So online discourse, whatever, not reacting. What about somebody in the real world who might be approached by somebody that's freezing water? And, there's like, you're obviously going to be scared. There's obviously serious consequences there. Um, this Jen doesn't know I'm doing this, but I think it behooves us to kind of talk about your virtual classes that you have that are all about distance management. And do you want to kind of talk about the women's self-defense stuff that you have available to people? Because if somebody is coming after you to attack you, you have to react to that. But how you react can mean a lot in terms of your personal safety. And I know this is a passion of yours, and I know you just put out this offering. So if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, the self-defense that I teach is it's really focused on staying calm under pressure. And that's what I meant earlier when I said my training kicked in. And when we're caught off guard, right? If we're sleeping and we hear a knock on our door, we're going to be caught off guard. So we might react in a way that um could be detrimental to us, right? And so uh the self-defense that I teach is it it focuses on how to preserve your energy, because in these heightened situations our adrenaline starts going, right? Our muscles get weaker, like
You're scared.
you're scared.
When you're scared, you can't think clearly when you're scared.
Yeah. And you might black out and you're not able to make very good decisions on the fly. And so just having some basic training and knowing just having a plan in general is going to help kind of lower that risk of reacting in a way that can be harmful to us. Because I know that, you know, if they knock on our door, right? I'm well, one, we're not going to open it. But, I would remain as calm as I possibly could.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything. Because
Manage distance.
yeah,
I think that was a key. Jen was nice enough to let me be her like assistant in these classes. And one of the things that I think is so important that I've always taken away is how much is distance management.
Mhm.
And
and managing the distance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so and it seems so simple, but it's so true. If they cannot reach you, they cannot hurt you.
Correct. If you're far enough away from someone, they can't grab you, punch you, kick you, right? Detain you. And so what I've seen a lot is, people opening their doors and they're right here.
Yeah.
Right. And so, understanding how to stay in a safe zone is extremely important. Um, and when you start to understand distance management and how to stay safe when someone is trying to subdue you or detain you, or kidnap you, right? It's actually very easy to learn how to stay on your feet,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
jujitsu is a ground art. It's based mostly on ground techniques, but when it comes to a self-defense situation, especially for women, when you're smaller, and you're up against somebody bigger, stronger, more
Heavier.
violent
Right. Yes. Yep.
than you are, you're not going to be able to fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to knock anybody out. You're not going to be able to
Yeah, right,
roundhouse
right,
kick somebody.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yes.
So they do have to think about surviving, because a lot of times, especially when you get into jujitsu or any kind of martial arts or like striking, you know, they rely, to finish a fight, you have to submit them. You have to choke them out, break their arms, their legs, or knock them out. Right. But if that is our number one focus right off the bat, I'm going to lose. And the reason is because this person is so much stronger, so much more violent, um, and bigger. If I'm attacking them at the same time they're attacking me, like it's just a lose-lose situation. But if I can think about surviving first, okay, they're coming at me. What are they throwing at me? How do I survive what they're throwing at me? Because, you know, we all know that these aren't the most trained professionals, right? They're not in the best shape of their life. Like, how much fury do they have?
Right.
2-3 minutes max, right? So if you can preserve your energy while they're whatever, right? And you can stay safe from being knocked out,
Right.
strangled, hit, right?
Thrown into a car.
Thrown, grabbed.
Yes.
Then you are going to have an advantage because you're going to be able to preserve your energy while they're wearing themselves out, right? But also, if you can keep a safe distance, that's even more important. So even if we're in a protest, right? If say we're in a group, right? And here they come. We don't want to let them get to the line, right? We always want to keep like a safe distance. So if they're coming forward, we're coming forward, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to fight them, I mean, that's your choice, right? But if you don't, we want to keep a safe distance. But you have to understand distance management in order to do that. And that's what I teach in the little mini online course that I just put up.
Well, and two things that I thought that I really like is not only do you teach distance management in terms of like not letting them getting close to begin with, but how to regain distance once you've had to make contact.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, so they've approached you. You guys are now in a conflict. How to get out of that and get your distance back. One of the things that I mean, again, I'm also a small female, grabbing our wrists. Like my favorite thing is how to get out of those wrist holds.
Yeah.
Number one, because it seems so simple, but when you do it, you realize how much power is in it. Like you realize like, wow, that's so simple. It's so effective.
Yeah.
But then like, if you can't grab a hold of my wrist and then I can get out of it and then get back and get away. Like, so it's not just distance management. And then I, because there's going to be scenarios where you cannot keep distance. There might be scenarios where that person invades your, what do you call it? The red zone?
It's a red zone.
Red zone is okay. Now that you're in it, how do you get out of it and get the distance again?
Right.
To your point, survive. Like at this point, eventually somebody wears out. If they cannot get you down and they have to keep coming at you to try to close the distance and subdue you, and you get out of those and you keep maintaining distance, then eventually they don't have, they can't do that forever.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, everybody's seen street fights or backyard brawls. And what do? They're arm lengths apart from each other and they're just wailing, right? Until somebody gets knocked out. That's it. And this is what the red zone is if somebody can touch you basically with their arm, right? Yep. So if you're this close to someone, they can punch you, kick you, throw you to the ground, grab your wrist, right? Pull your hair. And so if they are this close, right? If I can't get away, I can't create that distance, then I want to get super close to them.
Yes.
I want to hug them, right? And I want to get as close as I possibly can to their body, right? Because that's going to take away a lot of their power, especially their punching power.
Think about if you're hugging somebody, if you're right in their space, what they're going to do, like, you're
going to get hit. You're going to get a little
but you're not going to get punched in. They're not going to be able to put any power behind it. They're not going to be able to hit anything critical. They're not going to be able to like probably get you in an eye or a nose or anything that like, hit the nose. You're like,
yeah. But I mean, there's what if you keep your head down, there's a safe way to kind of protect your face. But it also, it catches them off guard and it off balances them. Right. And these are it's just simple concepts that can make a difference in our survival.
Yes.
If we're ever, attacked or detained or, kidnapped.
Yes. So yeah, and I'll put a link in the show notes to that. I think it's so needed and yeah. So I think to sum up, when we're talking about verbal or online, not reacting doesn't mean not responding.
Yes.
And I think that's how a lot of people take it. They think, oh, I just should not say anything. And then that can also feel disempowering or feel just like you're not addressing the situation. Mm-hmm. But if you can be calm, because what they want is your emotion. Mm-hmm. That's what they're feeding on. They're feeding on the discourse and they're feeding on the attention and they're feeding on the emotion. If you can be calm, even in what you respond, and if you take it down to like a funny level, that way when they realize not only are you not reacting, you're not even taking them very seriously.
Right.
They tend to go away.
Yeah, because it's not fun for them at that point. Right. It's like they're not getting the reaction that they're feeding off of. And because it's a sick game. I mean, it truly is a very cruel, sick tactic that sadly is used everywhere. Workplace, relationships,
100%.
the internet,
yes.
Families, people know how to push their buttons and they do it to you on purpose because a lot of time what they're really doing, well, most of the time is they're trying to take the attention off of them. So they take the attention off them and they put it on you so they can go over here and do whatever they want, right? And they can get away with all these things and not take accountability because, look, she's crazy, right? It's the covert abuse 101.
Yep. Which also, and actually, I'll get back to that one. And then the second thing, if there is, in the real world, if there is a physical threat or concern, distance management, and then how to minimize the damage to yourself if somebody is in the red zone and then get that distance back, which you can find on her website. But you just mentioned covert harm. I was going to turn this into listen, guys, there's so much good information that Jenn has already put out. She didn't know I was going to do this.
I didn't know.
So covert harm, you have a book literally called Unmasking
Hidden Harm.
Yeah. Which is about, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, it's a simple guide to understanding covert abuse, how to spot an abuser and know the difference between the abuser and I I don't like saying victim, but the survivor, right, in the equation because the target, thank you. So, because a lot of times what happens, like in my situation, is this person destabilized this person to where they're reacting, right? In to the outside world, they look unstable. So this person is just calm as can be, right? Maybe
Mhm.
laughing, making jokes, or uh, being calm because that's what they do a lot. And a lot of times they'll record that person, right? This happens a lot where they push this person to their breaking point and then they record it. And then they blackmail this person. This happened to me. Um so um when that happens, right, from the outside world, you're like, well, this person looks crazy. I'm going to believe everything this person says. So everything this person says gets discredited, right? And that's why it's called unmasking hidden harm because it's hidden. You cannot see it. Like you can't see it from the outside. Like there's so many nuances and so
Right.
uh it's just so complex that it's not like you really have to understand covert abuse and these tactics in order to recognize it because sadly there's so many survivors in the world right now who have been through what I've been through because the reason why I lost everything and nobody believed me and they dismissed me was because I was portrayed as a crazy person when I wasn't,
Mhm.
while yeah the other person is charming and calm
Right.
and collected, and that's how it works. So you can't always with the naked eye spot the abuser
Right.
because they put themselves in these positions intentionally, and that's why they get away with
I also think that there's not, I'm so, Jen's going to laugh at me because I'm going to bring up my cult podcast.
it.
I'm so immersed in the world of, because a lot of what she talks about is also because,
Oh, it's a bold. Yeah.
well, and also, if you're around narcissistic, abusive people, cult leaders tend to be narcissistic just because you
Yeah.
don't have to be in a cult to recognize, um, cult tactics in your own experience
Yeah.
because cults tend to center around a narcissistic
One
predator,
person.
abuser, etc., and not, those that personality type
Mhm.
exists all over. But I kind of felt like, I think people are learning more about this because I'm sort of immersed in this world where I'm always listening to it. I think a lot of people don't, there's not language, or the language around this is fairly new. And there's a lot of people who think abuse is only physical abuse, or abuse is only, making somebody cry,
Right.
or, calling somebody a name,
Slashing their tires.
or even like it's not emotional abuse unless they're calling you names or something
Right.
like that. And there's an entire set of emotional, mental abuse,
Physical, financial.
right? That is not overt. So hence her book title, Unmasking Hidden Harm, that is, I hopefully coming more to light. Hopefully it's not just me because of my obsession with cults. um, Hopefully more people are beginning to understand, and learn this language. And your book, I think, can really help with that. I think it's another great resource in what it's unfortunately having to become a bigger pool of resources because more people are beginning to understand it and name it and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the reasons why I wrote that book was I wrote it for women like me to validate what you're going through because people don't understand it. And when you speak up about it, they can't even comprehend what you've gone through, right?
It's almost like people like, gang stalking that sounds crazy or
Yeah.
sounds like far-fetched.
Hmm.
If we're just beginning to learn the language of covert abuse,
Right. And
and
it's
a
been
woman
happening
talks,
to millions of people.
right, and a woman talks about it, that sounds crazy and
She must be
far-fetched.
making it up.
Right.
I'm not gonna listen to her.
Right.
Right? Like, yeah. And then come to find out it's been happening to millions of people. But the reason why we don't hear about it is the same reason we don't hear about selective things in politics, right?
Mhm.
It's well, for one, gang stalking or coordinated harassment, cyber torture, it does not make for a quick sound bite. You can't just make a quick news story about it because it's complex. It has
Mhm.
depth. You can't say it in 2 or 3
Right.
sentences,
I
right?
also think the frustrating part is too is, I know I saw this a lot of like, okay, so your phone, like an app glitched and it's like, no, this isn't just, so it's not a tangible concrete thing like a black eye is.
Right.
It's not just, so somebody said, you're like, I'm getting a lot of pop-ups. Well, I get pop-ups too. Like, and it's like, no, that's not, you don't understand. You're like, yes, we all get pop-ups, but this is an onslaught of pop-ups that is being manufactured so that I can't get to my apps. Like I literally, like
Yeah.
my phone is bombarded
They
with
locked
them.
me out of my Apple ID. I couldn't download apps. I couldn't upload
Right.
apps. They took the names out of my phone. At one point, things on my phone started moving,
Right.
and I've
Right.
got pictures of it. Like I've got pictures of my screen going crazy. They would turn off my screen record
Yeah.
where I couldn't screen record.
And that's hard to talk about in a little 2 or 3 second, like 2 or 3 second soundbite is here's the person with the black eye, not the like her phone was getting pop-ups. Okay, why should I care about her phone getting pop-ups? Well, it's not just that. It's why that, and it
Right. It's like the judge. The judge wouldn't let me. I don't think I was able to speak for more than 15 seconds at a time.
I would agree with that.
Every time I would try to speak, she would interrupt me, and then she would go to a different question, and then he would interrupt, and he would, and so, even, my family and other people that I've tried to talk to, like, they wouldn't let me talk for more than 30 seconds, more than a minute. Like, yeah, of course you're not going to understand what I'm going through because you won't even listen to what I'm saying. And even though I made a 105-page document of evidence, proving what was happening to me, people didn't look at it. They didn't want to look at it. Right? Why waste their time?
Right.
Yeah,
Because you couldn't just point to a black eye and say, look, somebody hit
exactly.
me. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like, why, why would I? It took me 2.5 weeks to make that evidence log at the library. 2.5 weeks. Yeah. And like a lot of sleepless nights. So yeah, that's the book I wrote, Unmasking Hidden Harm. I published it on August 1st, and August 2nd is when all this escalated. If that tells you anything. Yeah.
So check out her book. It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Yep. I'll put the link to the book. I'll also put the link to your self-defense series, which is on her website. So if you want to be able to have more peace and groundedness and stability emotionally and mentally with the people you're going to have to, interact with in your life. And if you want to have more autonomy and confidence in being able to protect yourself physically, God forbid anything should happen with a physical altercation, that those resources, thanks to our wonderful Jenn, are available.
You have
Can help keep
resources
you
too.
safe.
Your yoga series. That is very helpful too, especially during times like this.
It's very true. I keep forgetting to talk about it. Thank
Mhm.
you, Jenn.
Mhm.
So I have started something on Substack. My Substack's free. I put one out most weeks. I forgot last week. It's been, the world
Been a
ending.
weird week.
It's been yes, it's been,
We've been snowed in.
and we've been snowed in, and
Mhm.
and so those weekly emails will remain free, but for $5 a month or $55 a year, if you do the paid subscription, I will be posting for those paid subscribers yoga flows. For those that don't know, I became a yoga teacher. I can't remember when, but been a yogi for going on 25 years. Got my yoga teacher certification, I would say probably about a decade ago. Uh, and so my focus is as we get older, we do this. Most of us do this. And so,
I'm always doing that.
yeah. So, keeping the body open, which keeps the heart open, which keeps the energy flowing, which kind of helps you feel more grounded in your body. I'm also, I'll be offering meditations, and breathing techniques, which are phenomenal for helping you feel grounded. And so, yeah, I'll put a link to that too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. I
All
got
right.
you.
Well, thank you guys for listening in. Thank you for the new subscribers we've gotten. Thank you all for the people who download and listen every week. If you're just tuning in, you can like and subscribe. We do these weekly, normally on Tuesdays. This one's a day delayed because, again, it's been a weird week and we're snowed in.
Right. We're all off track. So.
Yes, all off track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it for this week, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening. Bye.